this is Mr. Wineowine, and today I am going to talk about champagne and sparkling wines and do some blind tastings. So when we think about sparkling wines, two are extremely popular, often confused and yet so different. I am talking about champagne and Prosecco, of course. So what makes champagne so different and more expensive? Well, although the fact that it is not produced from the same grapes or even from the same region, the major difference is how it is made. In fact, considering that champagne and Prosecco are the same just because they are sparkling is like considering that port wine, Cabernet Sauvignon and Pinot Noir are the same just because they are all red and still. But don't get me wrong, I am not saying that champagne is better than Prosecco, because like any wine, it depends on your taste. But Prosecco is made by what we call the Charmat or tank method, because the sparkling wine is produced in a tank under pressure, which is a good thing for aromatic varieties, but it doesn't require more than a week, hence this very cheap price. On the other hand, champagne is made by the traditional or classic method, which consists in blending wines, then adding some yeast and sugar directly in the bottle. This syrupy mixture will then make the wine ferment a second time, creating bubbles. And then the yeast will die and the champagne will continue to age on them for at least 12 months out of the 15 months minimum aging for champagne or 36 months for vintage champagne. And of course, this process will impart some yeast, dough and fresh baked bread aromas, and the bubbles will become thinner with the time. Then, during the riddling step, each bottle is going to be rotated, usually by hand, every day during 8 weeks. So the lees, the dead yeast, will be able to gently settle in the bottleneck to be later ejected in what we call the disgorging step. The final step will be to add the liquored expedition, which is a mixture of wine and sugar that will define the sweetness and so the style of the champagne. So it is quite of an expensive method, as you see. It requires more time and more work, which is often done by humans and not machines. So if you want to find something cheaper, there is a lot of better option than Prosecco on the market. And when I say better option, I mean of course more similar to champagne. Look for anything that is made by traditional or classic method. You have the Cava in Spain, the Crémant in France, or the American or the Australian traditional sparkling wines, the Franciacorta or the Alta Lunga in Italy. Almost all wine regions in the world have their own sparkling wines, which is inspired by the so protected champagne method. And it is usually cheaper because of the place, but also the industrialization of the process. But again, even the closest sparkling wines, sometimes made by the same house, like Chandon that makes sparkling wines all over the world and champagne, will never be able to imitate exactly and perfectly the real champagne, which is defined by the terroir and the strict regulations of the Champagne region. So now I am going to try to recognize different bottles of sparkling wines. They will be all brut, so about the same sweetness, because it is the most popular style, but also because it has no carbs and less than 90 calories per glass. Yes, champagne is the healthiest wine. So let's see these bottles that I'm going to blind test. We will have a Santa Margherita Prosecco di Valdobbiadene DOCG, obviously from Italy. It is the superior version, hand harvested at higher elevation than the regular Prosecco DOC. But as a Prosecco made exclusively from Glera grapes, it should still be more lively than the regular traditional method. Then we will have the Cadel Bosco Cuvée Prestige, one of the most popular Franciacorta. It is made from Pinot Nero, Pinot Blanco and Chardonnay and aged 28 months on the lees. This is probably, by its terroir and its method, one of the closest Italian sparkling wines to champagne. Then I have 3 bottles from the same house, Taittinger. We have the classic champagne by Taittinger, made from Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier and Chardonnay and aged over 3 years. Then we have the Domaine Carneros 2015, which is kind of their Californian champagne, and it is made from Chardonnay and Pinot Noir and also aged over 3 years, so these two should be very similar. And then we have the Comte de Champagne 2006. So this is their tête de cuvée, their best champagne, which is made from Grand Cru villages that produce the best grapes in Champagne. This should definitely be the most complex with delicate and thin bubbles. And for the price, it better be recognizable. So let's blind taste them, see if these facts are true and if I can notice any difference.
Hello, so I'm going to pour the blind tasting. So I have 5 glasses in front of me. I'm going to change the order. I've written up my own random order here, and I'll hold on to this, and then at the end we'll see if he guessed everything correct or not. So I'm just going to put them in the order that I've written down. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to open them.
Okay, so here we go. I'm first going to analyze and try each glasses before giving you my conclusion. So this is definitely more challenging than it looks like. I will start with the one that I'm the most sure about. It will be this one. I think it is the Comte de Champagne because it has like a nice golden color, very thin bubble, and it had a lot of complexity. This one, which is also a little bit golden, had like a kind of flavor profile that I never had that much before, so I think it may be the Franciacorta, just because I'm not drinking this kind of sparkling wine so often, so I'm pretty sure it should be this one. On this side here, this is when it starts to be complicated. We have this one, I think by the visual that could be the Prosecco because it has more bubble, you can even see around it's a little bit foamy. However, for the taste, I had some Californian champagne before, Californian traditional sparkling wine, and it kind of makes me think a little bit to this kind of wine. And this one on the other hand, smells very like peachy and floral, like a Prosecco. But it has so thin bubble, I'm almost sure that that can't be a Prosecco. So my guess would go on this one for the Prosecco and this one for the Californian sparkling wine. On the other hand, this is a traditional Taittinger Champagne Classic. So let's see if I'm right.
So which one were you the least sure about?
These two actually. I'm really not sure, but I think the fact that this one is more bubbly should be the Prosecco. Well, I definitely got tricked by those two bottles. I relied way too much on the visual and on those big bubbles. But I'm still impressed with this Prosecco. It is a superior version like DOCG, and I had this thought when I was tasting them earlier that this had like a very like peachy and floral aroma, that it could be the Prosecco. But look at those bubbles, they are like so thin. I've never seen a Prosecco with that thin bubble. But on the other hand, this one, well, I'm a bit disappointed with it. I mean, it's a sparkling wine, it's not a champagne, but still, it is made by the house Tattinger and aged over 3 years. So I would expect a little bit more like golden color, delicate and thin bubbles, and I mean, it was pretty acidic. I don't think this is a really good, like, I would say, sparkling wines and a good, like, imitation of champagne. But anyway, I hope you liked the video and that you understood that there is a real difference between sparkling wines, like any wines. They are not all the same. Well, if you like it, give me a thumb up, and if you want to see some more content about food, wine and spirits, don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell for the notification. Thank you very much for watching, and something.